Well, another question that I always hear a lot is, how do I get style? Well, it depends on what you mean by how do you get style. You can dress well and got to buy a Rolex and drive a nice car and stuff like that, but if you mean style on the guitar, I think it's, again, it's taking the best of what you do and trying to get the most out of it. The other thing is, though, I think the more you learn about different styles of guitar will give you a particular style. One of the questions that I got was, how did the Doobie Brothers come up with their style of music? Well, there are a lot of guys in the band that played country music, a lot of guys that played rock and roll, a lot of guys that had a strong R&B influence, and even a little bit of jazz influence, and certainly some acoustic guitar and folk. So the band synthesized all these different types of playing and all these different types of feels and came up with one kind of music. The same thing with your guitar. People say, well, country music. Well, country music sort of grew out of jazz. So if you were a guy that was playing, you know, say, well, that's kind of a jazz sound, and that was really nice, but you changed the pickup. All of a sudden, you're playing country music. Now, what's the difference? The difference is the way you approach the instrument, the way you attack the strings, and the sound. When I hit this sound, you know that it's off. When I hit this sound, you go, oh yeah, New York skyline, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, taking a cab uptown, have a little bite to eat. And then when you hear this sound, you see, you know, expensive suits with lots of glitter and stuff and big cowboy hats, and you're back at the Grand Ole Opry. So style has a lot to do with the way you want your sound to speak. And that's one wonderful thing about the electric guitar. Gosh, you can get so many different sounds out of the instrument. You may find yourself saying, well, wait a minute now. I'm playing a country western record, but I kind of want to get that jazz feel. So after everybody's, they're all rocking along like that, and you go, you know, and I was like, wow, man, that guy plays this outrageous style. He was like, we're rocking along here playing this country music, and this guy breaks into this kind of jazz thing, but it fit. That's the other thing, confidence. I mean, I've gone into a lot of record dates where I am scared to death, but you just can't show it. So if you have a lot of confidence in yourself and you have the ability to say, well, listen, whatever I have to say is going to be good, that will help. And that's part of style. That's probably the most important thing about style, is your ability to say, I like what I do, they're going to like what I do. Well, before we go any farther, I'd like to talk a little bit about rhythm guitar. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a lead guitar player, I guess. I love melodies, I love the hammer-ons, I love the rockin' stuff, and I love to hear the great players just bop along. But it seems to me that rhythm guitar is a lost art. There seems to be a 10-year gap somewhere along the line where everybody forgot about playing rhythm. And although I know that the girls in the front row are all screaming for the guy that goes, somebody's got to play. Somebody's got to do that. There has to be a person in the band. And if you listen to really great rock and roll records, most of the time the guitar player is not playing lead. The saxophone player is playing the lead. That's because he can't play chords. The guitar player is the guy, along with the drummer, who is keeping this rhythm that we call rock and roll. One way that you can start out learning to play that is just by listening to some of the great old rock and roll records, 3-chord stuff. Now, if you can learn to do stuff like that perfectly steady, and may I interject at the moment that I think all the time you should practice with a metronome, because tempo and feel, of course, is as much a part of style as playing the right notes. But just get into the fact that your guitar is kind of a combination drum and musical instrument. Besides the fact that you can play notes, you can play rhythms. So this If you can get into that steady feel, then just add the notes. People are going to want to play with you because you're going to be able to lay down a really nice rhythm bed. As a matter of fact, I did a special with B.B. King on Showtime about a year ago. And afterwards, he said to me, anytime you want to play together, just you let me know because I love the way you lay down a solid background. I said, hey, man, I love your guitar playing so much. Getting a chance to play with you was a real treat. And he said, well, listen, let's play more together because I just don't meet enough guys who lay down a really nice straight ahead, especially when it comes to the blues. Now, R&B, rhythm and blues, or kind of soul music, stacks, that kind of music, is another kind of rhythm that seems to be a lost art. I mean, there's certainly a lot of guys who know how to play melody, but you ask them to sit down and play. Now, if you're going to play Sex Machine for 20 minutes, you're going to have to learn how to play rhythm because they don't want to know about hammer-ons and wangers and dive bombs and stuff. They want to know about the cat that lays it down really steady. Now, I mean, that's a band in itself. You got the rhythm, you got the sound, you got the chords, and you got the feel. That is something that really is missing, and I can't tell you enough. Go listen to James Brown records. Go listen to some of the great Stax Volt stuff. Probably my favorite rhythm guitar player in the world is a guy named Steve Cropper. When I produced a lot of records, and whenever I produce a record that I have a guitar player on, I call Steve Cropper because his rhythm playing and his feel is so solid. Even if you don't mix it into the record, the influence on the other musicians in the room is so strong that I have to have him on every record that I do. Rhythm guitar started out in the big bands. The guitar itself was not amplified, so there was really no way for the guitar player to be heard other than being able to play what they call chunking on the quarter notes. So that kind of hi-hat drum, the guitar player was actually a drummer. And when you didn't play the guitar on those chucks, you missed it. When you did play it, you couldn't quite hear it, but you knew it was a part of the thing. The guitar player never really became a lead guitar player until the guitar was amplified. Now, all of a sudden, he could get up there on the same level as the saxophone player or the trumpet player and start to solo. But the basis for all these guys was playing rhythm. In the 60s, a lot of guitar players, again, started playing rock and roll. Just playing rhythm. Lead, maybe. I mean, if you were lucky, you used 2 fingers. And that's all you had to do. You had 2 fingers, you played 5 notes. And you were a lead guitar player. But most of it was the rhythm thing. So one thing I would suggest is just to sit and practice some rhythms. Get any kind of a record that you like. Find a record that you really dig and try to pick out a part for yourself. In other words, even if it's a little, kind of strange, And then you sit there. Get into playing even notes because you want the chords to ring at the same time. This should be like a wheel that constantly goes, and when you want to apply the wheel to the strings, pull it up. In other words, that there's a part of you that's always a rhythm guitar player. There's a part of you that's always a lead guitar player, but there's a part of you that always wants to lay down the rhythm. And especially if you want to work in the studios, there seems to be a lack of guys who really know how to lay that down. And of course, everybody wants to work, so learn how to play rhythm guitar. Then worry about the hammer-ons and the hair extensions.